Yo, Doc Grim here. I'm a variety streamer on Twitch, and today's hot take is why I don't think Spider-Man No Way Home is the best Spider-Man film.
Are you insane?
Maybe.
I understand right now people are extremely hyped. This movie is really fun, I enjoyed watching it, and it was amazing to see 3 generations of Spider-Men. Spider-People? Spider-Men? Spider-Mans? 3 spiders on screen together.
That man's an imposter. That man is the imposter.
There can't be 2 Spider-Men.
Let's take them both in.
Hold on a sec. We'll have a showdown to prove which of us is the real Spider-Man, and you can unmask the loser.
That's fair enough. But no tricks.
It was also great to see the best villains that we got from previous Spider-Mans together on screen as well. And obviously the main one being the Green Goblin. Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin was extremely iconic. His performance was amazing. I know that there was issues with his mask, but other than that, people love that character.
Back to formula.
I would say, if I was going to rank the films, I think Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 would be number 1. I think number 2 would be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Number 3 would be No Way Home. Number 4 would probably be Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Number 5, I would say Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 6, I would say is probably Spider-Man Far From Home. Number 7, I would say is Spider-Man 3. Number 8, The Amazing Spider-Man. And number 9, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Those two can fight for last. I don't care. They both suck. That being said, Andrew Garfield was actually really good as Spider-Man, and I know a lot of people noticed in the new No Way Home that he kind of shined. He was actually one of the more fun parts about the movie.
Just let me go.
Is that a knife? Is that a real knife?
Yes, it's a real knife.
My weakness, it's small knives.
Just let me go.
Anything but knives!
Oh, it's so simple.
That was cool, man.
What the hell is this?
Webbing that I developed myself. I don't think you really want to know
Come
right
on,
now.
let me go.
One second.
Knock it off, man. No. Come on, let me go. Stop it. Dude, that isn't funny.
It is
Come
kind
on,
of funny,
help.
Unfortunately, if I think about look at the movie No Way Home and break it down as a film, it's actually not that good of a film. My biggest issue with the new current Spider-Man, and don't get me wrong, he is actually my favorite of the Spider-Men. Spider-Peeps. Spider-People. Spiders. The frickin' spiders. The spider people. He's my favorite one. But his movies can't hold on their own. Maybe Homecoming, but if you take the Marvel Cinematic elements away from that film, they really don't have a strong story plot or story structure. And especially with No Way Home, it actually uses the best elements of previous films to hold its ground.
You serious?
I don't think it's fair to take Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin and then make him the main villain in this film. I mean, I wouldn't say maybe the main villain. He definitely was, I think, the most sinister in the film as far as the villains go. And give it to Tom Holland as if this makes Tom Holland in his movie the best Spider-Man movie. When Spider-Man 1 actually would probably be higher on my list if I didn't go back and look at and watch the film, like go back and rewatch the movie and see how the CGI has aged and little things that bug me even back in the day, like the Green Goblin's mask and Tobey Maguire, his Spider-Man having no web shooters, even like Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. I've always enjoyed it, but I do recognize that Tom Holland was a better Spider-Man. I did like Tobey Maguire way better than Andrew Garfield, but I think as far as a teenager goes, and living with these real world problems, Tom Holland is doing a better job.
I still love you.
That being said, Spider-Man 2 is all around just a great film. And the artistic value in Spider-Man from Sam Raimi, and the first two Spider-Mans especially, the costume design, the set designs, camera angles, the shots, just so much you can see. Sam Raimi took, his past from horror and incorporated it into this movie. He is up there with the greats as far as filmmaking goes. I personally think he's, up there with Spielberg and Lucas and all these amazing visionary directors that have just their own approach, and there's a reason that he is where he is. Most people probably don't even know the names of the last two generations of directors and writers of those Spider-Men. Spiders. That being said, the shots in Spider-Man 2, there's scenes that just always stood out with me. When it comes to Doc Ock first waking up as the evil Doc Ock. You just hear, there's no music, it's just a blood-curdling scream. You see in the shadows, and the sound of the mechanical arms moving, and just all of it is so Sam Raimi and so artistic. There's scenes where you hear something coming, and it's just the camera zooms each time you hear the and it adds the intensity. Actually, the scene where he does get his chip busted in the back of his neck, the reactor fails and the glass shatters, and it's coming in at the lady that's with him, the other scientist, and you can see her face in the reflection of the mirror as it hits her in the eyes. And that's just, again, something that he brought that the other Spider-Man don't have. That's why I definitely think that Spider-Man 2 is definitely the best one. It just, there's the scene where Tobey Maguire is on the train is iconic. The way they scale buildings, and it's just, I think the casting for Aunt May was the best fit. It wasn't someone that's super recognizable like Sally Fields, or they picked the hot Aunt May for Tom Holland. It was just a legit good actress who fit the part, and it felt like a comic book movie, but it also felt like a great film. And I think that also helped from his Darkman series, and I think he just directed the first one, but I don't know if he wrote the other ones, and his Evil Dead series, and that all shines through for him. Back to the No Way Home, you have things that fixed issues from the other ones. You got Jamie Foxx's character. They did an amazing job of fixing costumes for him and the Green Goblin. When Aunt May shoves the serum in the neck of Willem Dafoe, I don't know if I would have. I would have liked to see if they toyed around with this or not. I almost would have wished, though, that they maybe would have had his skin turn green and his eyes yellow. I don't know what that would have looked like. I think that it could have been cool, though, if they did it right. Not what they did to the Harry in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, even though I did enjoy that Harry. But I think that would have kind of helped immerse a little bit more. But I did like that they threw the hood on him. He smashed, his mask, which gave, it was almost like a symbolic thing to all the backlash that he got for having that mask. Smashing it, I thought, was pretty funny.
Smash.
But Jamie Foxx's character, they did an amazing job of updating that costume and character together. They didn't really explain why, though, he was different. Why he wasn't this... I get that it was because it was kind of a deal Jamie Foxx made, but you know, whatever. I'll take it. I think my issue is that you have to take the No Way Home as a fun ride. It has so many plot holes that it bugs me. Like, I hate time travel. It doesn't make sense to me why all these characters were ripped from different parts in time. I know they kind of explained it, but, you know, if Jamie Foxx's character was ripped from Amazing Spider-Man, then I don't know. I just don't feel like... Well, number one, that's a big plot hole, and it's been talked about on the internet, but it was something that the second my friends and I left the theater, we actually talked about two things. How did Jamie Foxx get there? Because Jamie Foxx never knew who Peter Parker was. And how did Venom get there? And I know Venom was just in the after credit scene, but neither of those two knew who Peter Parker was. I know people on the internet have probably speculated or came up with ideas or whatever, but it seems like as far as the writers go, that was a huge, huge miss. Another thing is fixed timelines. I'm not going to pretend like I really understand this stuff so much. It gets very crazy. But I mean, as far as I can tell from Loki, things are fixed. And if those plot lines had already happened and they happened how they happened, I don't understand why they, I understand why they thought they could fix them, but they ended up actually fixing them. So it didn't make sense to me. So that means that they would already technically had to have fixed those timelines. I hate it. Just hurt my brain over some dumb writing. But again, I take these things for what they are because we got what we got, a fun ride. But it's not a good movie, and that's why I'm making this video, because I think it's important to actually say, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1 and 2, more specifically 2, because I think it holds up a lot better than the first one does. Although I do like Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin as a better antagonist, it is a good film. Obviously, Spider-Man 3 dropped the ball. And the other issue I had with No Way Home was, and other people pointed this out, they could have just had everyone forget who, Mysterio was. Okay. Or how did Happy and other people know who Spider-Man was? At the end, they're like, how did you know Aunt May? Oh, I know Aunt May through Spider-Man. Okay, well, how did they meet? Oh, people are coming up with ideas like, oh, well, they maybe have worked in a soup kitchen together at one point, and Spider-Man was there. Come on. It's just a poor oversight. It's just really poor writing, and it's not, and I don't think they really cared. And if Happy knew who Spider-Man was, then that means that, what's his name, Ned, they would have known who Spider-Man was, because they only forgot Peter Parker, so that means they still would have been, like, hanging out with Spider-Man, and they still would have they didn't forget what happened, with the battle, and Ned would still have powers, and it's just like, what? Everyone's just overlooking so much issues with these films. It just blows my mind.
You just blew my fucking mind.
Another issue. If both Spider-Mans were looking for the other Peter Parker, then they must have become the worst Spider-Mans on the freaking planet. All right? Like, really. Because there's a huge battle going on. Things are happening, and they don't go there. They can't figure out what's going on. They can't trail or find the villains. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. It's like, oh, we've been looking for this Peter Parker the entire time. Okay, maybe you can't find the Peter Parker, but you can find villains, which the other Peter Parker is probably going to end up going there. And then the way they brought them in was such a letdown. It was so cheesy and hokey. Okay, imagine this, right? Imagine the scene where Green Goblin is whooping Tom Holland's ass. Just whooping his ass.
Yeah! Yeah!
Beat up Aunt May.
Ow! Ow! Ow!
Whoop Tom Holland's ass.
Boom!
And he goes to throw that final grenade, right? At that point, you're almost, like, tuned out. You're not, at least I wasn't thinking about other Spider-Mans or anything like that. I was like, damn, this is pretty intense. Imagine, though, when he goes to throw that last grenade, if, like, out of nowhere, a web grabs it and pulls it back. Maybe he doesn't, do it still hurts, the blast still within, enough to hurt them a little bit or whatever. But then, like, it hits Green Goblin a bit, flusters him. He sees another Spider-Man. He hightails it out, And that brings in another Spider-Man. If you were in the theaters and you watched that, it would have exploded. The theater would have exploded. You still would have had the same outcome because what already had happened, but it would have changed so much. It would have been such an amazing way to, and just one. And if I was going to bring in one of the other Spider-Mans, I would have brought in Andrew Garfield there. Because then people would be like, oh crap, this is probably Tobey Maguire, because, you know, it's Green Goblin, and, you know, why wouldn't you expect Andrew Garfield to show up there? And then, oh my god, it's Andrew Garfield, blah, blah, blah. So you get two pow-pows right back to back. It would have been amazing. So take that, you know, that's just my own thoughts. But it was so lame how they brought him in. Oh, let's look, show me Peter Parker. Show me Peter Parker. And then they stop at the second one. It's working. You're seeing Peter Parker's. But then all of a sudden they're like, huh, where could Peter Parker be? Like, dude, you just did the thing twice. You found two Peter Parkers. You're not going to do a third one? Like, it was hokey, poor, lazy writing. Again, it just shows, like, the writers not like looking at and actually thinking out loud of how epic something could be. There was epicness, and I loved the movie. It was fun. Tom Holland's an amazing Spider-Man, but he was only amazing. His films are only amazing because of the groundwork from other properties, from other Marvel Cinematic Universe things, and again, this one from previous Spider-Man films. When I really look at it, it's just not a good film. It's a fun movie, but it's not a good film. And I just had to make this because I was talking to so many people. Everyone's just, this is the best Spider-Man ever. It's the best. It is fun. It is great. But it's only great because of previous things.
Oh, and remember Bionic Man?
Oh, I remember.
I loved Bionic Man. Remember Chewbacca again? Oh, I love to remember Chewbacca.
The Andrew Garfield ones are pretty bad, but I think what we did see at least is Andrew Garfield, you know, people think it wasn't his fault, right? We saw he shined in this movie. He deserves another shot at Spider-Man. There's rumors that, you know, he's going to get a third Amazing Spider-Man film. It actually would make sense because what we saw from Venom is that Tom Holland's Spider-Man does not exist in the Venomverse. And we saw also that there is a Spider-Man in that universe because in the Morbius trailer, there is a Spider-Man poster. So there is a Spider-Man there. We just don't know which Spider-Man. And it actually would make sense if they made Amazing Spider-Man 3, gave Andrew Garfield another shot, and kind of let him be the Spider-Man in that universe. I think it'd actually be a lot of fun. And honestly, if they wanted to, I would take a Spider-Man 4, like a Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4. I doubt they would do that, but and still hope that Tom Holland's existed with it, and then maybe even do some other Spider-Man films. They're definitely going to milk this cash cow. I mean, you're going to get, this has been Sony's biggest movie ever, so you're definitely going to get something, another team up or more Spider-Man films. You know, whether they be individual or together, we're gonna, you know, we'll see. But I just thought I needed to make a couple points. I know people are going to disagree. Everyone has an opinion. This is just mine. As a hot take, I get it. But I think that if you truly are looking at this objectively, it is not the best Spider-Man film. It can't be. But it was fun. It's a fun movie. And it's worth talking about. It's worth watching, and it does have rewatch value. But it just, think about it. Would it be as good without the other ones, without the previous Spider-Mans? Would it be as good, right? So yeah, that's just my thought. Please, you know, go ahead, leave a comment below, rip me apart. I get it. But thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I will do more hot takes and have more controversial thoughts on games, movies, animes, and more coming up in the future. If you would like to please follow me on Twitter, do that. Also, my Twitch channel is in the description. And also, if you'd like to join our Discord, you can yell at me in there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Until next time.